Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the Screenwriting Step-by-Step Project, Volume 68. My name is Glenn Gers. I am here every weekday when I can be at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to walk you through my process of writing a TV drama pilot script from rough idea through outline, through rough draft to polished draft, in the hopes that this can demystify you and help answer some questions about the process of writing a script. This is not the best process. This is not the only process. This is just the process I worked out in 25 years of writing scripts professionally, TVs, movies, all sorts of dumb stuff like that. Here is, the crowd is beginning. Hello, Mali MFC. We are now we are halfway through. Hello, this is Kitschy. We are halfway through the rough draft. And when I say rough, I mean rough. We are at the point where I have big piles of material that are not really scenes yet, but I just said, that's enough. I'm moving on. And hopefully we will get to go through the process of looking at that mess I've made and said, okay, now we got something to work with. Let's make that into a scene. Hey, Natasha. Yesterday we finished a scene, we finished a sequence. We are now starting a whole new sequence. We are coming to like the downhill slope of the the episode. We are into the second half, which gets really different, and so I need to think it out. So let's start looking. Let's look at the outline. That's where we're going to go. Today, I think we're going to do the outline, and we're also going to do some notes. We are going to work from notes again because that's how much I don't know what's going on. That's sometimes you just want to stop and talk to yourself on paper. You want to, there we go. You want to say, I need a place to work in. I need a place to gather my thoughts. I tend to make that into these notes documents. This document here where I just literally talk to myself. So let's set that aside and look at this, what we got here. All right, so we finished this scene. So we take it and we put it on the other side of this, and we notice that it is, okay. So now here's the thing. My next scene that I had in the outline was the morning after, waking up. Hello, Aaron. I'm so glad. That is so cool to hear. Because truthfully, a lot of days I'll be like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But I do have to say two things. One, when I was learning to write, there was nothing out there that showed you the process. They all talked about the end result. And the end result is how you get to that end result is completely invisible in the end result. When you look at a painting, you do not see how they set up the easel. You do not see how they mix the paints. But if you can't set up an easel and mix paints, if you don't understand about the process of putting the paints on the canvas, you can't even begin to think about the painting. So that's what this is. This is how you set up the easel and mix the paints and fool around with stuff. The other reason that I do this, somebody asked me today, in a marvelous way, why are you doing this? Why aren't you charging money for this? And honestly, here's the thing. When I'm writing, and this has been true for decades now, literally for decades, I'll be writing and I'll do something and I'll be like, oh, look, I can cut that and move that over there, and now it flows in a way that I hadn't expected or something. And I will be like, just so, like, I want to like turn around and go, did you see that? Look at that. That's so cool. Look at how that works. Not how I did it. Look at how that thing works, how that stuff operates. That is the fun. That is the best part, truly, because then there's a ripple effect where other people get it when they see it. But honestly, if I can convey to you the fun of working on this process, on doing the writing, then we are in business. Hi, Ellen. Hi, Larry. Hi, everyone. So yeah, that's what we're doing here. So today I learned TIL. Okay, so what I got to was I didn't want to go. We went from last night, getting her to bed, him falling asleep with her. Then they wake up at dawn and they make love after a good scene that I like. And then I don't want to go right to, because then we're just like there. It's become the story of them, which is okay and will be interesting. But this is an ensemble show about a lot of moving parts. We got Zeno, we got the other detectives, and we are not showing that stuff enough here. We have spent too much time in one path of a multi-pathed story. So I said to myself, we got to go to the other detectives or something here. We gotta figure out a way to break up the single-minded focus on these two characters. Rewriting the final third of a rough draft. The final third is the hardest, most hairy. Yes, I find this happening. You're about to watch that in the next 20 or 30 episodes of this live stream, because the last part of this, what we're running into right now, is I have roughly figured out the idea of the last act here, but I have not worked out this outline at all. And so this is the first step of recognizing that while I have a good idea for what's going to happen next, I did not figure out what happens. I know what has to happen, like what ideas and emotions have to be evoked, but I don't know what happens. And you write what happens. Okay, that is the thing. You write the scene. So that is now the first thing we have to do is stop and say, how do we cut away from Madeline and Norman's night of love to the rest of the team? Because they're not a team yet, but we need to establish that there's this part of the machine waiting for the gears to mesh. That's how this works. You have part A, Madeline. You have part B, Norman. Their gears are meshing, literally in the last scene, and now but there's other gears at play. There's George's death. There's the serial killer, and all of those things have got to mesh together by the end of the pilot. And the piece that is missing is the rest of the team. So how do we get that? I do not want to do another Zoom. I am declaring that. I am saying it here right on the page. That's what these notes are for. I get my head straight onto the paper, and then I've made a decision. Making choices. Where do I have a thing about this? I did. I had a really good little thing. Oh well. Right. Oh yeah, here it is. Get ready. Boom. Writing is making choices. And I just made a choice. I do want to show to the rest of the team. I made that decision. It is a good thing. Now I have to figure out how. I do not want to do another Zoom, which means, ergo, that's Latin for which means, therefore, I am going to have to cut from life to life, which means I need a connecting, I'm yelling here, I need a connecting element Element, not elephant. Okay. I need something that will connect these characters so that I can say, so the audience will say, I know why I am suddenly going from this person to this person to this person. Now, that element does not have to be an actual plot element. It doesn't have to be like they're calling each other with information. It just has to have some kind of similar thematic connection, something that is going to say, so that when we watch it, we'll say, ah, they're feeling the same thing they're feeling, or they have the same problem they have, so that we can say they are an as yet unorganized team. They will become the crew of this show, because that's really the important thing. This is the pilot. I need to establish that this crew is waiting to be crewed, is waiting to be recruited. They've been a group, but now they're going to become a team. Ooh, that's solid. And I think the connecting element is not clue related. It's need to do this related. In other words, we're going to see in each life why this teaming up is something they need. Okay, now we have, see, now I have thought up something important. Boom, copy, and then we paste here. And now this is not a maybe. This is look at that. Nope, exactly not that. Don't take that personally. I just the whole point is going to be to see their different disconnected lives and to see what's connecting them is not the case, but the need to do this thing, the need to be a cyber sleuth, the sense that their life is empty or lacking or hurting without. That's what we're up to here. So that is okay. So we're gonna make this. This is a note. Teaming up. Sequence of the other web sleuths. All right. So let's remember who they are. So we've got Dundosky. We've got, hang on. I'm going to go back up in the outline to Arvin McLean, Wall Street Conspiracy Nut. And we've got Nurse Shrimpton. And she left when we sent Dundosky out, so we have to think about whether or not is she coming back. And then, is there someone else? That's a question. I think we had other people, and if not, maybe we need other people. All right. So what we need to see. Yeah, we need, I think we need more, but we certainly need these people in. All right. So I have to start thinking. What we're doing now is we are adding to the outline. Okay. Okay. So the other possibility I like the idea of their empty lives, their frustrating lives. Not empty. We are not being mean to them. Their lives that are too high pressured or too in some way something's wrong. And one of the other things that comes up here is if I was thinking more big picture, which I should be, but I'm not because I'm doing this faster than I ordinarily would. The essential thing that we need to come to here is we are creating characters who are going to come into play later in the series. They're not going to come into play more in, they are in the pilot, but we are setting up elements that will become useful or vital later in the show. And the question is, what things are they? What's the difference between Dundosky and McLean story-wise in this epic of investigation, this mystery that I am creating? No. When things are unknown, do they just materialize naturally? No, you have to consciously do it. And the thing about that is, at some point, someone, like, if a weird thing happened and a network picked up this pilot, off the internet because of this, and they said, you need to, let's talk about the rest of the show. They would say, what are all these spare parts doing? Like that, because that's what the audience would say. That's really what it comes down to, is the audience is saying, you put stuff in this show. Why did you show it to me if you don't want me to use it later, if you don't want me to understand or follow it later? What is the purpose of each piece of the mosaic that you have shown me? In other words, the most important thing to know is the unnaturalness of storytelling on screens. Is that for the most part, not always, but for the most part, everything is used. Everything has a purpose and a meaning. It relates. And that is unnatural. In life, that is not the case. But in a show, and this is, I think, why we like shows, everything, like if you introduce a new character, they're going to do something with the main characters. They just are. And the knowledge of that is part of the game. You can manipulate that and use that. But the first thing is, when you introduce a bunch of characters, you are saying, this is the difference between them. This is this one's special quality. This is this one's danger. And then the question is, what are you going to do with that? So we're going to have to stop here and think about the use of these characters. Right now, we have 3. We have 4, but Xena we've already got. We understand Xena. And the truth is, I probably would add another one because the group seems too small to me right now. But for the purposes of what we're doing now, I'm just going to stick to these. So we have Dundosky, McLean, and Shrimpton. These are the 3 we have to deal with. What are they? Now, the thing is, we already know something about Dundosky. Dundosky equals potential violence. The main thing we know in criminal underworld. Now we know that McLean is Wall Street, and Shrimpton is reluctant to play and a nurse. So this is, I think I can just go to this. Who do we need to follow or check in on? Boom, boom, So now, just this is annoying me, so I'm going to say learn spellings, and now it won't be red all the time. Okay. And PJ Karsh, thank you for this question. This is a good question. I will answer it after we have worked because it's big and because I am forcing myself, as one must sometimes, to do the job. At least for a half an hour or so a day, I am going to force myself to stick to the task at hand, which right now is, what do these people bring to the story? What do they bring to the story? One of them should die. I don't know why I'm in an all caps mood. I hope it doesn't offend any of you, but this is, one of them should die. We're talking about a story of murders here, or get hurt. May not kill. What do they bring to the story was the question. Well, one of them should die. They bring their death. They bring a loss. One of them should die, get hurt. A loss, a raising of stakes. That's what happens when you kill off a character. You raise them stakes. You intensify the threat. What can they contribute to the story? Well, I want to think emotionally, not just plot-wise. Because one of the things is, and this is a problem, I have not really thought out the plot of this show. I do not know how this mystery is going to be solved. One of them may discover Xena's true self and thus be killed. That's a possibility. Instead of, yeah, I don't know. The problem with that is I kind of want to hold Xena for the end. So let's just undo that. That's not going to happen. Okay, but what do they bring? What? Well, the thing is, Dundosky is a good soldier. He's a good soldier, but not a leader. Now, Mr. McLean here is super smart and tech savvy, so that might be useful. See, now I'm starting to have to plot the whole thing, which is really more than I wanted to do. The characters are writing, I will have to say I don't buy that one. That's one people talk about. Like, the characters are telling me what to do. I don't subscribe to that. I believe we are writing them. What I believe, I think this is important though, and this is a good point, is that when you have made a choice, it limits the choices that can follow from that. In other words, having made Dundosky a certain way, or having made Xena a person whose evil does not get revealed until the very end, makes limits. It gives you a place to work, and it gives you a pattern, a way to make further choices easier or more clear. So that's what I would say. I don't believe, oh, hi, thanks, Javier. Thank you. So yeah, the thing about this is as you work, the great thing is you have things to work from. You use what you have. I actually think, yes, I have. Watch this. Boom. You have. I did a whole video about this. When you start, or at any given point, it can feel like there are too many choices. But the truth is, you've already made certain ones and you don't want to give those up. Now, sometimes you have to, but essentially when I say Norman and Madeline are the leads, that means X, Y, and Z. No longer, like, it's not going to be about someone else. Every choice you make gives you a narrower area to play in because you've set up certain things. That's the blessing that an outline gives you, is that you begin to have a narrower and more intense playground to work in. You can't just throw in something from nowhere. You have to work with like, oh, I'm doing comedy violence here. Oh, I'm doing real scary stuff. So therefore I can't have comedy violence. Like, whatever choices you're making, they set the rules for every other choice. That's really important to know. That's one of the greatest tools you have to work with. All right, but at the moment, what I think I have to do is since I don't want to actually, because to stop now and plot out the entire series, even roughly, that's going to be like a couple weeks. Honestly, that would be many weeks. And I don't want to do that here. So I'm going to write in a way that I wouldn't ordinarily. Excuse me. Ordinarily, I would actually do that. Ordinarily, I would get a rough idea of the shape of the entire series and say, in episode 6, McLean's going to save the day, and in episode 5, Shrimpton is going to die, and whatever. And so then I would know what to set up here. But since I'm doing, and honestly, a lot of people write TV this way. They write a basic premise, but they don't know where it's going. Most TV shows were written that way. Until recently, the concept of a beginning, middle, and end of a series was actually unheard of, because the whole point of a series was you just kept it going. And then when you ran out of ratings. The idea of a story, a limited series, even if it's limited to 5 seasons, was not how things were written. So I'm going to play this old school. I'm going to say I'm going to set things up and leave it to see where it's going to play out. So that means that of these 3, what I have to play with is an emotional tenor, like what emotional thing is missing from our story so far, and also what ideas do they carry. This is something that I really like. If you've got a character like Norman is carrying criticism of the 21st century, criticism of online life. That's one of his main things. Now, Dundosky, what is their theme? Each one's main idea. Dundosky equals justice. Weirdly, considering his life, that is really the thing that Dundosky cares about. McLean, however, and Shrimpton, well, we know about Shrimpton. We know, because this is the thing. She said when she quit, she said, I didn't sign on for this to become real life danger. This was my escape. This was my entertainment. So we have sleuthing as entertainment. That's her thing. So what I need to do? This is the thing here. I have this thing, this overview with themes. I wrote themes. We love serial killers, respecting victims. I can live with that, yes. Online intimacy, crowdsourcing. Interesting. Maybe that's McLean's thing, is the power of ordinary people, is the power of online to do something, to bring things together. I think that might be interesting. I'm going to consider it. I'm just going to see. Themes. Oh, those are the themes. Those are the themes I had. So, okay. So, all right. So now we have this. Let us just take that. Oh, you know what? We're going to put it back in that. Let's just keep that there so that we don't forget it. All right. Oh, okay. So now knowing that, what do we want to see in their lives that reveals their soul to us? We are want to see them in scenes with other people from their lives. Okay, that's important. Okay. Look at that. Okay. So for the moment, I am going to turn these into scenes, possible scenes. And you know what we're going to do? Lonely. That's the thing. He believes in online crowdsource power because he is lonely. That is an important insight. We need to see that. Dundowski, we're talking justice. Justice man. Who, okay, so who is, I gotta stop doing the all caps thing. I really apologize, guys. I just, my pinky is hitting that shift key and I am just shouting. Who is in each one's life? Who will show us who they are and what they need? I think, okay, wait a second. I think Dundowski gets home to his drug empire to discover someone has done them wrong and a minion is clamoring for justice, but really meaning revenge. Or maybe Dundowski has to get revenge, but where it's not justice. These are possible. Yes. Anyway, the point is the difference between revenge and justice is a good idea. Nice to see him being truly killer here. It would be nice to see him. And I think Shrimpton, she's got to be debating the value of web sleuthing with someone in her life who doesn't get it. Maybe see, like, I mean, honestly, the thing that would really be cool would be to just see him boop, 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 being lonely, like leaving work and you know, being on the subway alone, and then on his, you know, running on his rowing machine at home. But I do kind of want to have a scene, although we've got a lot of talking in other places. Oh. Anyway, possibly an intercut sequence. This could be sort of fancy schmancy, where we are weaving these three lives together, or maybe four. I don't know. Maybe we'll show Xena, and like really cut so that they're woven together and the audience is aware of the need to the bringing together. So I'm just gonna put that there. This is all very interesting. We've got a lot of interesting stuff here. Okay, just want to make a note. This is pretty late in the day. Norman wakes up and it's like near noon and she let him sleep. We're going to need this sequence is going to need some time. And so we want to make sure that the last time we saw them was dawn. We don't want it to be early in the morning because this stuff takes time. The other thing that we know about this is it all happens in the morning because it's at the same time that it's filling in between dawn and noon. Okay, so we are just learning so much so fast here. This is great. Look at this. We had none of this, and now we have a bunch. Cool. All right, let's see what else can I think of quickly here. Well, that was a good hunk. Look at all this. Look at all this we came up with today. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is stop here and answer PJ Karch's question, because that'll take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and we'll be out, and other questions may come. So let us save and close and save and quit and go back to this and go back to this question. How has, for the Q&A later, I love that I have inadvertently created a format. How has this process evolved for you over the last 25 or so years? Fair question, and one I have to think about a little, but not a lot. I've talked about this in some, like on Film Courage and stuff. I've wanted to be a writer since I was literally a child, since like 10, 11 years old. I had no process for a long time, 10 years. Okay. I had talent and I had the desire and the urge and the I did it, but I had no process whatsoever. My process was throw myself as hard as I could at it when I thought I had the space mentally to do it. And then upon stumbling, which you do if you don't have a process, then I would just collapse into misery and be depressed and confused and think, oh, I have to go read this book or watch this movie or listen to this record and get into that'll somehow show me how to do it. Once again, because I was thinking about the result, I was thinking about the finished product, not the work process. So I would, the idea of I just thought, well, you just sit down and write. Isn't that how it is? Like the idea of outlining, it didn't come along for a long time for me. I just thought you kind of figured it out as you went along. You maybe made an idea of a story, but you wrote it as you went along. Outlining did not come for years and years. And then there's the figuring out the process in terms of your writing is one thing. Figuring out the process in terms of your life is the other. Is when can you write? When do you have the time? When do you have the mental space? I learned pretty early on that I am a morning person, not an evening. I'm not one of those people who writes at night. I can't, boy, do I not like doing that. But I'm great in the morning. First thing in the morning, boom, I am eager to get to it. Probably partly because caffeine really helps me. So the first section was just, I love movies, I love books, I love plays, I'm going to do them. And there wasn't that much. There were some how-to books, and I read them. I read Sid Field, I read Leolos Egri, I think Edgy, I don't know. There was a book like The Art of Dramatic Writing. There were a handful of books, and I read them, and I tried to study and analyze it, but mainly I just tried to think out what I wanted the result to be and run towards it, as try and get it done. So that, as I believe it is, I have a video about it, but once again, I have not found I did a whole video about fear of writing because that was bad. That was paralyzing for years. Anyway, yeah, so I have this. Let me just... So yeah, look up my fear of writing video. It's got a red. Oh, wait, we don't want that. We want this. There we go. It's got a red thumbnail, red with white letters, I believe. Anyway, check that out. Tells part of this story. So for into high school, I would manage. I wrote plays. I wrote short stories, funny short stories. I tried to make movies for a while, silent movies, and I could get some stuff done, but I could it was real hit or miss. I was just when something came to mind, if I could write it down fast enough, remembering this was on a typewriter, I would get it, and then I'd be like, oh, cool, I got something neat. And that would give me some confidence to try again another day. By the time I dropped out of college, I was determined to become a professional writer. I decided around 15 or so. It's that's what I'm going to be, having no idea how to be it. There was a magazine called Writer's Digest, still online, I think. That was one of the few resources this is how you become a writer. But none of it was about screenwriting. I wasn't even thinking. I was sort of not thinking about screenwriting then. And it took me then probably 10 more years till my late 20s, early 30s to start to work out a process that is now the process I've worked out. Partly the outline process, partly the idea of having a set of documents that you can say, I'm going back to this to work. That took years and years of trial and errors, thinking that, oh, this will do it, oh, that'll do it. I I I find it hard to conceive of how stubborn and uninsightful and for somebody who was thinking about this literally every day. I did not take a day off from 12 years old till now. I very rarely take a day off from my work. I just can't. I like to do it, and I can't let it go. So I don't work full days, but but I do work some every day, and it's on my mind pretty much all day every day, much to the detriment of my life. um, but the the stuff that you're seeing here came more once I was a professional and the stakes were higher, because if I were trying to write as an office temp and I was cramming my oh, I'm going to do an hour before I go to work. I would get up at like 5 in the morning and do an hour before I had to head out to work. There's only so much you can get done then. When I had a contract to write a script professionally and nothing else to do all day because I had to get this done because that was my job, that's when I tried to really think this stuff out, and make a system that worked for me. So I don't know, the 25 years, that's the main thing. Also, remember, during that, computers were invented. Changed things a little, because I cannot describe to you how much it hurts to have to rewrite a scene in the middle of a script when you have to retype the whole damn thing. Anyway, that's the answer is the process took all this time. I only got really good at it probably in my 40s. Okay, so you're talking about someone who started at 12 and didn't get competent at the process until 40. Not a strong recommendation for me as an employee. But I think the point is, no one was talking about this. No one was showing it. No one was saying, how do you do that part of it? This is the result. This is the thematic genius of this movie. Why don't you be like that? That's what all screenwriting teaching seems to be like. And as much as all of that is often very right, it's not saying you got to actually find a way to plunk stuff down on the page and think out the questions. That to me is the whole point. Ask questions. This is a biggie. It's the most important thing that I can try and show you is that you figure it out for yourself by asking questions, not by saying, what's the answer? I know that sounds dumb, but you don't ask, what's the answer? You say, what's the question? And then you answer it. And that's the answer. The answer is not already there until you choose it. Until you say, my answer is that we are going to not have the characters on a Zoom call, that they are not going to get a... That was a choice I made, and it determined what was going to happen in today's work. And learning that it's not like, oh, what's the right thing that I have to do here that I'm trying to figure out? Because that's the worst feeling. That's the feeling of writer's block, is the feeling of, I believe that someone has the right answer out there and I have to figure out how I can get to it. There is no right answer. You are asking a question and then making a choice. That's writing. Writing is to say, okay, I know that I need to put these other characters into this story because I've spent too long without them. And my experience of other stories is, if you want to tell a story about a lot of different people, you got to keep bopping between them. That's just like second nature after you've watched enough of it. You say, gee, I've been spending a long time with these, considering they're not the only characters. I'd better go back to that. That was all I had. When we started today, all I had was, we probably ought to go check in with these other characters. And then I thought, well, what do we check in about? And I thought, I don't want to have them doing the same thing I did before. That's just a general writing instinct. Don't do the same thing over and over again. So we have already established these people as Zoom calling. I want to have them off that. I want to show their lives. They are characters. That's what I'm telling you here. Not you here. Not in the story, I was saying, I need to make sure that we know these people are characters, that they are going to play out in the rest of the series. So that's a choice. It's like, okay, now I have that. Well, what am I, rewind this and see how I did it. This is saying, you saw it was a series of steps that I did not have a right answer for. I only had a question for. That's the process. That's writing. And apparently this go write something. Yeah, go write something is my catchphrase, one of my catchphrases, and you're about to hear it because I'm coming up to that. We are getting to that place. This has been fun. I hope it has been educational. I really actually think I said valuable things this time. Okay, go write something.